Hello and welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm. I'm your host, Roger Knecht, President of Universal Accounting Center, and I'm excited to have you here listening as we discuss those things that actually help you as the business owner run, operate, and have a successful accounting, bookkeeping, and tax business. It's in this process that we're going to focus on things ranging from marketing, selling, pricing, offering quality services, and so much more each and every week to help you, in fact, get paid what you're worth. Now, today's going to be no exception. We have a wonderful guest on the show today that I'm sure is going to be of interest to everyone. Shlomo Freund happens to be a seasoned entrepreneur with 18 years of experience and a passion for helping others reach their financial goals through a variety of things, particularly niche website investing. He has been an investor since 2006 and has a proven track record of success, starting with stocks and later expanding into international real estate and crowd investing. And Shlomo has a location-independent profession where he's actually been able to work from home, remote working, and travel with his family. He happens to be the proud father of 3 young girls, and with them is currently homeschooling them while on the workforce adventures, let's say. In addition to his personal experience, he is coaching and consulting services and individuals throughout his company, Free Financial Self, looking to invest in such things as niche websites and so forth. He also is a person that is helping businesses seek to grow website acquisition. So we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit. And then with that, he has basically an expertise and passion for the industry where he helps clients align their financial goals with their lifestyle aspirations, which I really appreciate. So first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Roger. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. So first of all, I want to get into what drove you to become an entrepreneur. I think that's something that's quite interesting to everyone. What caused you to want to go out and start your own business?
So it happened a while ago. Since I'm a son of entrepreneurs and business owners, so I guess it's somewhere there. So very, very early. And I figured out through my professional career that I just cannot be a different person. I always had some kind of a side hustle, a side business, a project, or something running on the side.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I need to have at least some ownership at what I do. This is where I shine, not where it's completely growing somebody else's business. And I see the cap there with the salary.
Yeah, I get that. So one of the things that really interested me is the fact that you early on became a remote worker. You, in 2011, I know, moved to China with your wife and built a company there. And then after being there for 3 years, moved again and ran it remotely. What did you find that was so interesting about running a remote business? I think that's something that a lot of people aspire for. I know there's even expats that end up leaving the United States, for example, and going elsewhere and run their business very much so remotely. That's very fascinating to me, and one of the things that I think a lot of people even aspire to. So what drove you to do that, and what have you found to be some of the challenges?
So here's the thing. Location independent is very important to me. The flexibility, the fact that I can go and be in different places. I like traveling. However, it comes with a quote unquote cost. Let's say when leaving China, I had to adjust the company to work remotely. It's basically about what many companies call company culture and the systems around async communication. So you don't have to go through meetings and you don't have to be at the same time working on something. You just can do this at your own time. So that flexibility. So it's basically building a system. That's a challenge to make it work. And you can adjust your company or the company you work for to be able to do that. It's a process and it takes time. That's basically it.
Yeah, I remember years and years ago where the motivation, the drive was to become a paperless environment. It was, what can we do to remove the paper from the workflow and so forth? And for a long time, that was the goal of the business. Today, I think it's now, what can you do to work remotely? And with that remote, it's literally working anywhere, working for anyone. And I've found so many people take that to the extreme. It's not just having clients in other places. It's now being able to move where you would prefer to work or just travel and take care of the clients perhaps back at your home office or wherever. But the point is it's no longer paperless. It's now remote. Would you agree with that?
Totally agree with that. I know thousands and thousands of people doing that, digital nomads, remote workers. Just when we travel, we meet them at conferences, you meet them. I myself spoke at a conference of such people. It's becoming more and more common, and I'm very happy about this because I think it's a premise for making people happier.
Yes, I have to agree. I think there's some people that really enjoy traveling, and to be able to maintain a lifestyle while working with your clients, it's a wonderful combination. So that's quite fascinating.
And I've seen some accounting too, by the way. I think I bumped into a few of them as well.
Oh, yes. I personally know a few that are in South America and Central America, and they do wonderfully well. And one of the things that's very appealing is the cost of living happens to be so much less. So being expats, they're able to live a very comfortable lifestyle, still taking care of their accounting clients in the States, but their standard of living is much, much higher where they are at. They're giving their children actually a wonderful experience, and they do have American-type schools there that they're able to put them in. Others choose to homeschool them, and they're doing phenomenally well and enjoy the lifestyle. I think some went with the intent of living there for about 6 to 12 months and chose to stay a little bit longer, so it's definitely more appealing that way. Lots of great stories, I guess.
Listen, there are all kinds of digital nomads in families. Some hop every week, some go every month, and some are called slow-mads, and they go either several months, 6 months, and then they change a place. And that's fine. Each person find their own lifestyle that fit them.
Yeah, and one of the things that fascinated me as I learned about this is, like you were mentioning, there are communities, groups of people that when you arrive somewhere, they actually can get together and meet at the coffee house or something and basically connect with, in my case, Americans, and kind of have this little community of like-minded individuals in a foreign country. So it's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, we when we travel, we tend to look for those communities, sometimes even specifically homeschooling communities. It's make things easier and friendlier. It's not that we're not going to go to places where there aren't. It's just that it's a preference.
Yeah. When I lived overseas, I lived in Chile for a few years, and I have to admit that as much as I love the culture and enjoyed my experience there, whenever I had those opportunities to connect with someone that was American, it was just nice to speak again in English and at the same time reminisce on things that were going on back home. So there was that connection that every so often I had the opportunity to rekindle, and it was nice to have those relationships. But at the same time, I was immersed in that culture. I was living in that environment, and wouldn't have traded it for anything. So very good experience for me.
How's your Spanish?
Very good. Está bien.
¿Está bien?
Sí, todo bien. Sí, hablo español entonces.
Bueno, bien. Yo hablo un poco español solamente por viaje a Sudamérica por 6 meses.
Se habla bien entonces.
But
we can do it in Spanish if you want.
Do you have a version for this podcast in Spanish? I'll try.
No, we don't. We could. I was just in Costa Rica just a few weeks ago and loved the ability to use my Spanish again. And it was kind of funny. Some of the people would say I lost my gringo accent, so that was quite nice.
I'm kind of relearning it now. It's pretty bad.
No, you're good. The fact that I get to travel and go to Mexico, I was in Puerto Rico a few months ago, and I was also in Dominican Republic a few months ago. So going to those Spanish countries has kept my language fluent, I guess I can say. So it's been fun. I go as the translator. Everybody in the group kind of depends on me, and that's fine. I don't mind it at all. So let's talk about with regards to working remotely. Before we leave that topic, what advice would you have for someone who is trying to work remotely, just because you've got your homeschooling children there, a lot of things can kind of tug on you while you're working from home. How do you keep work and life or work and family separated so you can maybe focus as you need to when you need to?
So it really depends on the day. First of all, I'd say that when we're traveling and when we are at home, the day-to-day life is pretty similar. I mean, the time. So my wife works half of the time and I work half of the time, and we exchange roles at the middle of the day. So it doesn't matter which country that is. And then it just depends what kind of an activity or whatever you do at that time. However, so basically we find our times to work and do what we need, but we still keep the flexibility if I have meetings, I have calls, or she has something. So we play around that because we have the flexibility, especially with the homeschooling and that schedule. I mean, we don't have to wake up for school. We don't have to be anywhere at a certain time. It's the things that we choose to do. So everything is pretty by our own decisions and very flexible.
Wonderful. And what do you think your children are gaining from this? You're traveling typically every 1 to 3 months. What are your children gaining from this, do you believe?
Well, first of all, I think there are more open-minded people. I can say that only to my 7-year-old because the other two are too young.
Too young, yes.
But she loves traveling, and she insisted that her 4th birthday will be at the airport. So we took the whole family to the airport, drank coffee, brought a cake there, brought balloons. So she loves that and can't wait. And actually, last time that we said goodbye to a friend at the airport, she said, "But I don't want to go to the airport and not fly. So next time we are going to go somewhere." It's like, okay, fine. But I think she's also, of course, learning about other cultures and what's going on in the world. When we were in Sri Lanka, I took her to language lessons there, and you see different things that you won't encounter anywhere else. I mean, it depends on the country, because if there are Western countries, there you understand what's going on, although it's in a different language. But some countries where the culture is totally different, so it's basically, it's just very, very different, and kind of keeping them open-minded. And also, we love languages, so you kind of learning different languages. We learn. She's bilingual, and she's also learning Spanish, and keep mentioning other languages. We do some words in Chinese, and we do some words, of course, in Spanish and other languages. So it's kind of travel and being international is kind of part of that. So I think all these are gains. And the last thing, which I think is very important, is being able to adjust to different situations in life. No matter what will happen, she'd know that she can get along anywhere. Doesn't matter where. She'd say, "I'm okay. I can do this." And I think that's a good skill to have.
I would definitely agree. I have to agree with you. My children, just because of my work career, have been exposed to so many different cultures. Not to the extreme. I haven't been a world traveler like you, but they've met different people, and I believe from that open-mindedness, they're much more comfortable in difficult circumstances. They're able to see that people are willing to work with them and help them. So, very good experience. One of the things I was excited to share in this conversation is this whole expat travel type of experience, because I think so many of us maybe aspire to that, and it's nice to know somebody that's living it and some perspective on what can be expected. So I'm glad we've had that part of the conversation. Let me change gears now. I was wanting to talk a little bit about the financial coaching that you offer. And the reason for this is because I know, working with business owners as clients, we're fortunate to see them actually experience some very good financial wealth, some very good growth in their incomes and so forth. And all of a sudden what they realize is they've got money outside of the business for the first time. Some of these business owners have been so devoted to growing the company that they oftentimes take and reinvest what they have in themselves. And to get them to a point where they can begin diversifying and take the money and put it somewhere else as they maybe plan for their future and consider retirement, those things start to become a possibility and an option. And what I wanted to talk about today are some financial tips that might be applicable that as accounting professionals, we should be aware of or open to as we work with our clients to help them better prepare for their personal situation. So let's start with that and begin with what insights or suggestions you would have.
So I think that when people think about their money, first of all, as a side note, it's never urgent, so nobody wants to take care of that. So I think that's horrible, and you need to educate the clients basically to say you really need to do that at some point. You should do that and not wait for until it's too late.
Yeah.
However, people also think about money uh, for the sake of making money instead of for the sake of their well-being, and I think uh, that's basically wrong. It should be that lifestyle and well-being is the first thing, and then build and then kind of reverse engineer. And this is what I do with clients to understand what they need to do financially to reach those. And I'm not only talking about uh, quote unquote the boring stuff. So buy a house, retirement fund, and these kind of things. Also, your trip around the world and the boat that you want for yourself. Yeah, also kids' college, fine. But everything should be in there as kind of in a plan, but always keep that in mind and kind of put your money into buckets of what goes where that will help you with it's not a whole thing. It's not a whole, I got lots of money, so what is it for? Like let's talk about, maybe you have enough, maybe you can retire at 45, if you can retire at 30, that's great, but you need to see that this is okay for you financially and personally. It's not just the inertia of life, like we just keep going on and on and on with the same thing. You got to stop and think about these kind of things for your future to be a happier person.
Yeah, the conversations I've had with some of my clients and people that I've listened to that fortunately have experienced tremendous wealth is, first of all, you have what you're trying to do to maintain your lifestyle, the lifestyle you're wanting. And then after that, there comes a point that when you're very successful, you can get into what's referred to as generational wealth, where you're no longer worried about or taking care of your situation. It's now, what are you doing to benefit the generations after you? And it's a whole new game once you actually get into the generational wealth. But at the personal wealth level, you do have to do, like you were just mentioning, establish what that lifestyle is going to be that you want upon retiring. And when you are clear as to what that is, it's then backwards engineering what it's going to take to sustain that. And what I like about the whole discussion is I find that oftentimes for business owners, it's a motivation for them in business to do that much better because they now have something that they're personally working towards. It's not just the business that's benefiting. They're starting to realize how they financially will be benefited from this success. And the other thing that I think is also important is once you start to help them realize that they need to be willing to diversify, any good financial planner will teach diversification as being a key principle. And so often the business owner, I think, is throwing everything they can at the business to keep it open. They need to get to a point where there's enough success where they can diversify. What are some of those first things that you would advise a client to do as they're diversifying? Any suggestions there?
So I do a lot of the, let's say, non-conventional investments. So things like crowd investing, P2P, the niche website investing that we mentioned, these kind of things that are not so much in the mainstream. Yes, we putting S&P 500 ETF is okay, and doing real estate is okay, but there are so many other opportunities out there that can be a good fit for a person that basically they can tap into. I got to say something about retirement though here.
Uh-huh.
We're thinking about retirement as you stop work working, and then you kind of start your retirement life, which is go fishing. But basically, or a lot of times for entrepreneurs, it doesn't work this way. It's they keep do what they do because they love what they do. So retirement should be defined in a different way. It's the point in life where you don't have to work, but you choose to work. So it's a different mindset.
I love that you brought this up. I was hoping we'd actually get to this. Here's the thing that I remember. I distinctly remember meeting with my financial planner, and I kept on saying at age 55, I wanted to retire. It was just a goal. It was an arbitrary number. It was just this, at this age, I wanted to retire. My dad passed away at 62. My wife's father passed away at 53. And
Wow.
so realizing, I don't know what my health's going to be, and I'd hate to die before I get to retire. So I chose this arbitrary number of 55. And so my financial planner said to me, well, what does retirement mean? And at the end of the day, what I was trying to communicate is I wanted to be financially secured, that I didn't have to work. And that was a real big pivotal moment in that conversation, where I realized I wasn't saying I wanted to be a couch potato. I wasn't trying to say that I just wanted to go fishing. I was just trying to say I wanted to be financially independent, that I could choose now. And so that really did change the trajectory, because it changed my perspective on what I was trying to do. It was, what lifestyle do I want to maintain, that if I didn't want to go to work, if some opportunity came to travel or go somewhere, it wasn't that I was stressed that I was taking a day off of work without pay. I didn't care. It was the activity, the time was more valuable to me, and I could take it without compensation. And that really was a valuable thing for me to realize. So your point is 100% accurate. I think we need to change the paradigm. And I'm going to add one more thing to this. Business owners, when they sell their companies, many times experience something very, very unique. As a culture, we define a lot of who we are by what we do. And they're so passionate about their companies that when they leave their businesses, they find that they've lost a lot of their identity. And within months, if not a year, if they haven't found something else that they can become as passionate about, they fall into a state of depression. It's not uncommon to find a millionaire who is an aloof in their home, in their basement, that it's 11 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They haven't gotten out of their pajamas. They haven't gotten ready for the day. They don't know what to do. They're aimless in life, and they're unhappy. And it's all because they sold their business for a few $1,000,000. They're financially well off, but they have nothing to do. They don't have an identity anymore. And so I think this is really what kind of creeps into the whole idea of retirement. We've got to have purpose. We've got to have a drive, something that still gets us out of bed and that we're excited about, because I think that's who we are as people. We're very driven, and we need to have something to put that energy into. Would you agree?
I totally agree. And I'll add that now we're able to work remotely and moving to cheaper places, even at our work life. There's a much less stress on that, the number we have in mind or at that time, because we can now basically combine that good lifestyle with our work at the same time. It doesn't have to be, yes, you're working towards the time that you choose to work, but you're blending the good lifestyle on the way as well. And if you're not choosing to retire or live in a very expensive place when you're older, then you're able to do much more with the money that you already have.
Yes, yes. Yeah, this whole idea of flexibility and working remotely, it's paid off in spades for me. Yesterday I was not doing well, and I was able to stay home, and I did my day from home, and didn't have to go into the office. I shared with you a moment ago that I went to Costa Rica. I can work from Costa Rica. I went to the Dominican Republic, worked from the Dominican Republic. I went to Puerto Rico, worked from Puerto Rico, went to Cancun, worked from Cancun. It's an amazing flexibility that remote working has afforded us, and I'm taking advantage of it. I'm using it, and I'm kind of living the dream, if you will, and I'm very happy doing so. So, yeah, retirement at age 55 doesn't look like I think it once did. I still intend to work. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I'm going to enjoy what the technologies afford me at this point. Let's talk about now just a few more things regarding finance before we move on. When you're talking to someone as a financial coach and you're giving them advice, I liked how you started by saying, let's backwards engineer what their lifestyle is and what it is that they're going to need. What more would you add to that?
So I see that a lot of people not sure what they want for themselves in the future. I mean, what we talk about now is like, I want A, B, C, and D for myself in 10 years, in 15 years, in 5 years. All these milestones, people don't have them. They don't stop to think about that. So my financial coaching, part of that is design your desired lifestyle. This is the first step. So if you're at point A now, what is the end goal of point B? And then you can start marking the way from A to B with your finances, what you need to do. But you got to know where you're going. You can't do it without knowing this. And I see this missing all the time. People are just, I want to make money. I wanted to, like, that's too general. You can't do a lot with that.
Well, the one thing that I always teach is clarity. The more specific you can become, the more likely it will be. And so I'm always, like you just said, more money. Well, more money is what? I can talk to a millionaire and they'll give me a different answer than the billionaire will. So coincidentally, I was just speaking with a friend of mine, and in his neighborhood happens to be a billionaire. The person sold, well, I guess he's not a billionaire, he's nearly, because him and his brother started a business and they sold it for $1.6 billion. So if you split that in half, he's, 600 million well, actually, I think he ended up with 400 million after taxes. Yeah. And so he's got like $400 million that he has. He's 45 years old and he doesn't work. I mean, he just plays all the time. And it's a fascinating thing to think of, but it's definitely not a lifestyle I'm going to experience or that I can see right now. And one of the things that is interesting is, coincidentally, I'm meeting with my financial planner this evening, and it's the clarity that matters in this whole discussion. Knowing the specifics of how much I feel I need to maintain the lifestyle I want for my retirement is very much a motivator as to how hard I need to work today to set aside those funds while still living today. And I think it's a worthwhile challenge. I accept it. I'm excited by it. I'm motivated by it. But it's the clarity that makes it very, very achievable, simply because I know what I'm striving for. So yeah, let's talk now about accountants. Running a business as you do, working with financial planning as you do, what advice would you have for the accounting professional as they're working with their clients to help them appreciate the value that the financial planner brings to the table?
So the thing is this, I think that a lot of people, when they are meeting financial planners, accountant, they're very not afraid, but they kind of, they're not sure. They don't know what to say because they don't even know what questions to ask sometimes. And accountants and professionals just need to be much more approachable the way that they talk and present and explain things to their client. You don't want, don't be the one that kind of want to show off that they know much more. Just explain this to me like I'm a 5-year-old. And I think that will make you more approachable personally for them. And to be honest, will probably bring you more clients because people will say, oh, he explains what I can understand. That's good. I'm going to go to that guy.
Yeah. So for my listeners, they may already know this, but the best referral partner that I have happens to be a financial planner. She is amazing as she works with her clients. She identifies those that are business owners, and she's able to refer them. And it's simply because the synergy that the two of us have as we work together is tremendous. My goal with the business owners to help them make money, and they really value the insights that the accounting can bring to the business that allows them to become more profitable. Well, the moment I'm able to help the client become more profitable, they in turn are making more money. And one of the motivations that I have is to then get them diversified. And so I'm pushing them back to the financial planner to start now planning for their retirement. I really feel that the business owner works so hard for what they get. I want them to be able to benefit from it personally, not just put all the money back into the company. I want their lifestyle to improve and change. And so I'm very much a proponent of them benefiting from all that hard work. And so as business owners start to experience that success, they in turn start talking more to the financial planner. And so there's this homogenous relationship that we have, the two of us, where she's giving me her clients and I'm pushing them back to her. And that whole relationship is beneficial for the business owner. Their lifestyle is improving. They're starting to feel benefited at the onset of everything. And so I'm trying to actually give them the confidence to take the money out of the company, put it into their retirement, and plan for their future. So that's kind of exciting.
I have another question for you, though.
Oh, please, go ahead.
So you know the accounting world much better than me. And I wonder if the part for talking about the lifestyle part of people versus purely about the numbers and the money with accountant is I mean, do they talk about that, or is it just more about let's talk about the numbers and the money, and they kind of neglect the lifestyle part of their clients? Is this detached? Is this in the conversation?
Well, it depends on obviously the accountant. So we'll definitely define what they're offering as a service that way. But for me, when I'm working with the client, I'm very much interested in which situation they are in as an owner. And here's how I'm going to define it. I find that every one of my clients are in one of three phases as they're running their business. The first phase is that of a job. Sometimes they started the business to be busy. They started the business because they love what they do, and for them it's just a job. They take home a W-2 compensation, and they're just happy to be working. And that's fine, but what I want to do is get them elevated to a lifestyle. A lifestyle is where they're starting to run a business that's autonomous from them as an owner. They have good employees. They have processes in place. And that lifestyle affords them the ability to travel, to not go into the office. It allows the business to work independent of the owner. And that lifestyle is a game changer. All of a sudden, I start to think that the business owner experiences then the benefits of being the owner of a company. And that's where the dividends start to be paid out. Well, as a lifestyle, they're close, but they're not to where they can be, which is that of an owner. An owner is more of an investor. They have vision, they have direction, they know where the company wants to be, they've invested in the business, so they're a shareholder, but they're no longer necessarily involved in the day-to-day operations at all. They have good management, good employees, good processes, and at this point what they're doing is they're running a business and they're able to go off and start another company. They're able to go retire. They're not needed in that day-to-day operations, as I mentioned. And so when I speak with the business owner, I want to first assess which of those three stages are they in. Are they in that job mode where if they don't go into the office, it doesn't get done, that they open and close it on a daily basis? If they go on vacation, nothing gets done, no money gets made. Well, if that's the case, then we want to move them from job to lifestyle. But once they're at a lifestyle, I want them to see the vision of they don't need to be doing this as part of their daily routine. They can actually hire individuals, put in place proper management. They can go on a 3-month sabbatical. They can travel around the world. They can go to conferences, attend things that help them as a professional, but not have to be in the office. And all of a sudden, when they get to that ownership level, they're kind of like the sharks when you watch on television, Shark Tank. They're investors. They're taking and believing in something and investing in it, but they're not there running and operating the business. And as the business owner goes through those three phases, there are financial wins along the way. And those financial wins are ones that they don't have to put it always back into the business. They can put it elsewhere. They can start investing in other companies. They can diversify and start, like you were describing, start planning on what it is they're going to do to sustain that lifestyle in the future. So it is a conversation I have, and it's a conversation I feel all accounting professionals should have with their clients. Because at the end of the day, I think what we're doing is more than just helping account for what's happening in the business. We need to be doing more to help our business owners keep more of what they make, and that involves tax planning, that involves accounting, that involves CFO type services, advisory related services. There's so much that we as accounting professionals can offer our clients if we choose to, and each of those offer additional revenue streams for us to benefit. So those are some of my thoughts there. Do you have anything more you'd want to add on that?
No, I'm good. I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. All right, so let's switch gears to a little bit more of personal. We started with the conversation about expats and working remotely. You running a business in China and elsewhere. Where has been probably the funnest place, the most relaxing place you've lived and worked that you would recommend someone going and working from?
Wow, that's a hard question. Every country has its flavor. I think that the most special one for us as a family were probably Thailand and Sri Lanka because they were so different for us. It's also two different. Uh, I mean, it was only when we had both of those are only when we had one child, and now we had two more. So the rest of our travels, just the last trip was with additional one, and the 2 months old had yet not traveled, to be honest. So I'd say those, and you know we love those places because they're so different. You're going out of the door in the morning and you don't know what's going to happen. Everything is new to you. So this is what we like about these kind of places. They also tend to be cheaper, although we were in places in Europe that were also quite cheap.
Uh-huh.
But they're Western culture. It's something that we know. It's something that we can guess what's going to happen at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's similar to how we live.
Interesting. You know, I had a cousin that lived in the Philippines. She had a nanny that she really appreciated. I knew someone that traveled, I want to say it was Sri Lanka, and they had a chef that came in every day and prepared meals for them. And I also want to say that another person, it might have been Sri Lanka as well, had a butler that they actually utilized. So they were able to afford a different lifestyle, definitely.
Yeah, I was about to say next time that we travel, we're probably going to get some help as we're there, because with 3 kids, it's becoming harder, and we probably will need some of that. And basically, then we also can afford it. In Israel, it's impossible. Basically,
yeah.
It's very hard to find, and it's super, super expensive. We're talking about a few $1,000s just to have someone.
Exactly. Well, in some of those countries, it's very inexpensive and it's very affordable. So, yeah. How about with regards to housing? Do you use Airbnb, or is there another service that you use to try and find a location?
So what usually happens is that we rent an Airbnb for a few days in a place until we find something longer term for 1 to 3 months, depends how long we're about to stay. Usually Airbnb is quite expensive because it's per day or per a few days.
Yeah.
But then you lower down the costs with something longer. If we can do something that we can find something for a longer term before we come, then we do that. But usually it's not the way it works. Usually you need to get to the place, and sometimes you need to go to an agency or see a local or something like that. Then you get things that are much more affordable. In Chiang Mai, by the way, I just walked from one apartment building to another because they knew what's going on in their buildings and looking for an apartment.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. And then the last thing is regarding your travels and so forth. Where do you want to go next? What's on your horizon? Kind of like a bucket list of where you would like to stay that you haven't been.
So we're probably going to Bulgaria in June. I'm going to start there. I'm not sure for how long and where we're going to go next afterwards. But generally speaking, I want to go to Central America. I haven't been, and I want to try that. So that's on my bucket list. But listen, I traveled a lot. I traveled to about 34 countries so far, but not with the whole family. Okay, this is throughout all my years. I'm 43. So I don't mind going to those places again with the family. It's a different experience. It's not going to be the same. But definitely Central America is one of them.
Good. Yeah, I would say traveling alone or versus a family, 2 totally different experiences. Yeah. The next question I wanted to ask is food. Where's your favorite food? What did you enjoy food-wise?
So we're Jewish and we keep kosher. So basically, when we were abroad, it's basically being vegetarian, except of a few places where you can get kosher food. So I'd say we're kind of limited, but sushi is something that we like very much. So, but that would be vegetarian sushi or kosher fish. So we eat that, which we like a lot. In places like Thailand and Sri Lanka, there is no shortage of local vegetarian food. So that's great. You can find vegetarian food in almost any place. Although in some places you need to explain exactly what that is. So in China's example, we had to specifically ask about anything like, so we say we're vegetarian and then we ask, is there chicken in there? Is there pork in there? Is there beef in there? Because they would say, oh, it's vegetarian, but you have this decoration toppings on top with a few minced meat or something like that on top.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's vegetarian, like stuff like that. So you need to make sure.
I know exactly what you're referring to. That's kind of funny. All right, that's good. The next thing is, which has been the most affordable place that you've gone to where you found like you really got the good bang for your buck? You felt like you're getting some pretty good deals.
So in Thailand, we were for a month for less than $1,000 a month for all of us, including the flights from Israel. And we're there for 2.5 months. So we were a couple with a 2-year-old. We managed to go to Portugal for 2 months, and basically things even out with. So we always rent our house in Israel. So that's of course nets the cost. So we were able to travel for 2 months to Portugal for around, I don't remember if it was €200 or $200, but that was the cost of the whole trip.
Interesting.
Yes.
So is that where you felt that you had the most lavish lifestyle, were able to enjoy the most, experience something different than what you're accustomed to?
No, I think Thailand would be the one. Would be much more. We had an apartment with we had a swimming pool. We were in nice places. I think that's where we were. Also Sri Lanka, but specifically at the Thailand trip, it was more than that.
Yeah. Well, you're the second person to tell me Thailand was an amazing experience and something very, very, very affordable. So that's interesting.
I'm hearing it's not as affordable anymore, to be honest, from people. It's got to be much more expensive. Of course, not as expensive as Western countries.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's, it's all perspective, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The next thing is, I just wanted to end, what you're doing now is kind of interesting. It's something I wasn't familiar with, and I do want to just throw this in there. I know that you're involved with what's called niche website investing. And I thought that would be something interesting to just mention here at the end. What is niche website investing?
So niche website investing is basically buying a digital asset. I'm not talking about Bitcoin here. I'm talking about websites or SaaS. So it will be something called a software as a service. So people paying a monthly or yearly subscription for a service or that you're giving. I usually look at deals. I see dozens of deals every week. Almost all of them already have traffic and have cash flow. And the pricing for these kind of businesses is between 30 to 45 monthly revenue. So let's say it's around, the cash flow is around 30% a year for the business. So if you're buying a website that is making $1,000 monthly, it would cost around $30,000 to $35,000. So I teach how to improve it, like you flip real estate and you add a room to a house, like what kind of monetization you can add, what can you improve in the website, and then increase the valuation, and then you sell it. But you still have nice cash flow going in while you do that. That's the gist of it.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I like it. Okay. So Last thing I wanted to do here as we're wrapping up is I wanted to just ask about your spouse. Obviously, this is a lifestyle you're able to enjoy because of her as well. What's it been like to be able to have a spouse that's been supportive as you've been doing all of this?
Well, it's a question if I'm supportive of her or she's supportive of me. If you ask my family, though, she's supportive of me. But to be honest, she likes to travel as much as I do, and it's a shared passion, and we want to do that more and more with our daughters, and we hope to do a lot of that. We really enjoy it. So she's and really it's because of that, it's very important for us to keep our jobs and the things that we do remote and flexible, because this is what enables this whole thing.
That's perfect. I have to agree. It's got to be a mutual love and a thing that you can each enjoy together. So that's beautiful that she has that same interest and passion, and that you're able to enjoy it together as you go around the world. Yeah. And I think your children are going to be so much better off for that exposure and experience. So that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Let me go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to do a summary of what I feel we've covered today. And in addition to that, come back to you for a closing thought. With regards to a promotion, I'd like the episode listeners to understand that there is in the episode description some things that you'll want to take advantage of. First of all, there is a link there that Shlomo's offered. It is how to organize your finances to reach your financial independence faster. There's a link there with information on how you can achieve that I want you to take advantage of. Again, this is in the episode description. And in addition to that, you'll find actually 2 copies of books that you should have as accounting professionals as part of your library. The first book is In the Black, 9 Principles to Make Your Business Profitable. These are things that you can do within your own company and as well apply with your clients. And then another book titled Red to Black in 30 Days. This is actually a how-to guide for accounting professionals to help you actually work with your clients on the most troubling thing that many of them face, which is cash flow management. And for that, you just go to the episode description and you can get those 3 things there. In addition to all of this, as a summary, I just wanted to kind of highlight what stood out to me. The first was, obviously, we were talking about this idea of working remotely and taking it to the extreme, not just working with remote clients and not visiting them face to face, but literally taking ourselves and enjoying the life that can be afforded us if we chose to travel. And I think this whole expat philosophy is fascinating. I think it's something that I'm finding more and more that people are doing, where they're either for vacations, taking extended vacations and working remotely from wherever it is they've traveled, or just like we've discussed today, traveling around the world and experiencing destinations for months on end, and in doing so, still keeping the business alive and thriving. I think one of the things that was really insightful there is some of the joys that have come from it. I think it was important to actually hear a few of the nuances of how it's done, traveling to the location, and once you've arrived, finding a place that you can stay at that's more affordable and so forth. Those insights were quite interesting to me. The second thing that I really enjoyed about the conversation is how we talked about personal finance. And really, as we talked about finance and planning, we talked about it needs to be something specific. Just saying I want more money isn't enough, and having a clear objective that you're working toward is essential. And in that, we also talked about what is the definition of retirement, how it really isn't ending all work activities and becoming an aloof, golfing all we want, watching all the movies, reading all the books. It is, more importantly, having a lifestyle that we're able to enjoy and being financially independent. And I think in today's society, I think it's more apparent. You just see so many people, political, business, that are well into their 80s, and Warren Buffett is definitely someone that we can put up there as much more mature in age and still very, very much involved in work. And the list can go on, especially with politicians, whether they be good or bad. The fact is you don't have to end your life at age 60. There's so much more that can be done in your 60s, 70s, and even 80s, if that's the case. I was just watching a thing showing that Harrison Ford is 80 and still thriving in the movie industry. So just a lot of fascinating facts about what is the definition of retirement. And then the last thing I wanted to point out is just the fact that I think what we discussed as it relates to family is so important. Just the fact that with the the example that we all can set for our children of work ethic and quality of life, and exposing them to varieties of things can be so much more beneficial to them, helping them have these open minds to new cultures, new experiences, and giving them the confidence to thrive in any environment. So all those things were very much of interest to me. So with that, Shlomo, what more would you like to add to the conversation?
So people often say, oh, I can't do remotely. I can't be location independent. Oh, this is so hard. Or they're saying, I have family, so I can't do that anymore. So this is really not true. You see, I live that, and you can say, oh, he has this in this life, therefore he can do it. But listen, you don't have to be all in right away. You don't have to do 3 months or 6 months. You can just do a more extended, you can start calling it extended vacation, and then in the next one doing it a little longer and a little longer until you adjust to that and you learn how to do that. It's really not rocket science. It's just about going through these steps and jumping to the water and do it. So I encourage you to take advantage of our technology and lifestyle that we can create for ourselves.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Well, with all of that, let me just end with a few things here. First of all, be sure to join us at GrowCon. Each and every May, we have a conference for accounting professionals, owners of accounting, bookkeeping, tax businesses, where we get together, where you're able to interact with your peers and hear from the experts on stage on what it is you can be doing to work on your business and, in fact, build the premier accounting firm. So I invite you to check out more about GrowCon. In addition, we have a number of free resources that are available that you can check out at universalaccounting.com that I encourage you to utilize as you're working on your business. Obviously, I would invite you to subscribe to this podcast. If you haven't already, do so, like, follow us, and do whatever it is to get the notifications that you need of every week when we are releasing our new episodes. Also, feel free to go back and binge in the past episodes. We've had on some amazing guests. We've addressed a variety of wonderful topics, and I would encourage you to find those that apply to your current situation and listen in and see what it is you can be doing to also work and apply those things in your business. The next thing I'd like to also mention is if you'd like to actually apply these principles or learn more about them, feel free to reach out to us at Universal Accounting. You can do so by calling us at 801-265-3777 or visiting us at universalaccountingschool.com. And always remember this, if it's about accounting, it is universal. Do take care of a great day and be safe out there.